Today we are here to discuss how anatomy and physiology connects with the importance of vocation in our career fields. Today we will be interviewing students who are learning about how anatomy impacts their own career path. The first person we will be meeting today is Tessa. Hello, Tessa.
Hi, Hannah. I am so excited to be here today and discuss what I've been learning.
Well, first, what is your major?
I am a major in the Director of Church Ministries program.
Wonderful. How do you think learning about anatomy is useful in your career?
Well, it is useful for church work because oftentimes people's spiritual and physical health are very intertwined. So having a general understanding of the human body will be useful because it will help me to understand what's happening to the body and hopefully help me to be more empathetic to the situation. And it takes a lot of heart to go into ministry.
That's very insightful. So how do you think knowing about anatomy could be useful outside of your career?
It is useful in life to understand what's happening with your body because then you can notice if something is wrong and have a general idea of what the causes of certain problems can be. It is also super important to know how to take care of yourself so you can be healthy, and understanding anatomy and physiology will help to do this and help get you started in a positive direction.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Tessa. Your thoughts on how anatomy influences your career and also outside of career is actually very helpful. Thank you for your time. Now for a commercial break.
The right atrium's where the process begins, where the CO2 blood enters the heart. Through the tricuspid valve to the right ventricle, the pulmonary artery and lungs. Once inside the lungs, it dumps its carbon dioxide and picks up its oxygen supply. Then it's back to the heart, through the pulmonary vein, through the atrium and left ventricle. The aortic valves where the blood leaves the heart and it's channeled to the rest of the body. The arteries, arterioles, and capillaries too bring the oxygenated blood to the cells. Tissues in the cells trade off waste and CO2, which is carried through the venules and the veins, through the larger vena cava to the atrium and lungs, and we're back to where we started in the heart.
And we are back after that very informational commercial. Next, we will have our friend Faith talk to us about how anatomy is useful in her profession. Welcome, Faith. Thanks for joining us.
How amazing it is to be here today. What would you like to know?
I asked the questions here. Just kidding. What's your profession?
My profession is illustration, and I have an emphasis in ocularistry.
Oh, dang, girl. How do you think learning about the eye and incorporating that into illustration fits well with what we're learning about in anatomy and physiology?
It is useful for ocularistry because it is important to understand the human body when working with patients' faces. Addressing patients' health issues while restoring their appearance requires a balance of art and anatomy. In order to give the patient the best care through creating prosthetic eyes, people in this field need a thorough understanding of how the eye works.
Awesome. That's very interesting. I really like that. So, based on all the labs we've done, is there a memory from anatomy and physiology class that you have?
Yes, there is. My favorite lab memory is when we were learning about the muscles and how they work together, and when the teacher showed us where the platysma muscles are.
I love that. Well, thank you. We're going to move on to our next person. And for our final interview, Kelly, a fellow social work student.
It's a beautiful day to save lives.
You're silly, Kelly.
What can I say? I love Grey's Anatomy.
Well then, you're going to love this interview. So, how do you think anatomy is useful in your vocation?
It's useful in social work because social workers need to understand the physiological makeup of an individual. So if there are any mental or physical harms, the social workers can think best of what to do in order to provide therapies and recommend help to their clients.
You're so right. So how do you think anatomy is useful in a vocation other than a career?
Well, anatomy and physiology is an essential part of life. I think it's important for everyone to understand the basics of our wonderful bodies and how they work. My vocation outside of a social worker is that of being a student, a daughter, a friend, and a disciple of God. I think it's important to understand the processes of the brain in order to fully live out those duties.
I agree. So I'm looking forward to your commercial.
Did you know that the development of the brain can be altered due to a life crisis? Social workers work to combat post-traumatic stress disorder and help clients cope with the daily impact that it has. PTSD also physically changes the parts of our brain. For example, PTSD causes the amygdala, which is responsible for the memory of traumatic events, to become overactive. Also, the hippocampus, which helps to process long-term memories, reduces in size, and causes more severe symptoms to people who struggle with PTSD.
Well, today I would say was full of information and good conversation. I think that each one of our interviewees pointed out the importance of vocation and knowledge of anatomy. The most important thing about vocation is how we can use it to serve God and our neighbors. We can use our vocations to serve God by getting out into the real world and spreading His message. God works through us so that we are the hands and feet of Christ. By doing this, we will receive blessings by serving. I learned through these conversations that we serve God through our vocation by being faithful in relationships with others and also being a positive influence in the world so that we can spread hope to those searching for God's love.
Pump your blood.